Our analysts this morning, Uade and Oyeyemi. Welcome. Good morning.
Morning, my president.
Yes.
Good morning, Omas.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Zibby. Morning, Omas. Morning, Uade, and morning, Lagos.
And so let's pick up the pace this morning as we go over to Oyeyemi Aderibigbe for the first paper from the punch stand, and it goes INEC, that's the Independent National Electoral Commission. To conduct rerun by elections February 2024. Is this coming a little too late or maybe still in time?
Well, it's in time. It's in time because there are different fundamentals that needed to be resolved. So this is following the last elections held earlier in the year. There's some unresolved stations, both federal and state. So we have a Senate position. We have about 34 in general, places where we have need for reruns, meaning the same candidate running again, and then by-elections, which is a completely new election. And so they're going to be holding in the first week of February 2024, INEC has announced. That's barely over a month away. There's some of these locations that are very sensitive locations. So we're hoping that INEC has everything on lockdown, totally in control of the conversation, and we're not going to have any rabble-rousing. I mean, because it's important that as much as we strive towards economic stability, we maintain the peace. So elections of any kind are sensitive hotspot for trouble. And so I think generally the INEC hasn't necessarily said what they have in place. I guess because it's not the large scale, there's some form of we've done this before, we have it under control, but I think we can't casualize the importance of these things. So we hope that come February, everything will be put in place and will be orderly.
Oh yeah, I mean, just so it's specific, because for persons listening, I hope that reverse is not included, because we understand just to clear that out there quickly.
Reverse is, I don't even know what we want to say about that. It's unbelievable what's going on. We've had commentary on it many times. It's important that the stakeholders put country first, their lives at stake, lives over ego, lives over personal interest or vested interest. And let's hope that the drama ends very soon.
All right, thank you for that, Oyeyemi. Let's move on to migration matters. This one is from Vanguard. IOM, which is the International Organization for Migration, has advised potential migrants to be cautious of the syndicates with specialty in offering fake employment letters to Nigerians who are seeking to work in the UK. Now, they further stated that about 1,000 Nigerians are currently stranded in the UK after getting visas based on fake employment letters.
Another avenue for scamming for Nigerians because of economic conditions over the last few years, all trying to jump up. But let's always be careful. Let's ensure that the things that we're doing and the processes that we're taking towards leaving Nigeria are the right ones. Let's not always be in a hurry. There's always been a hurry towards Japan, and at the end of the day, we get stranded. According to this report, about 1,000 Nigerians are stranded. Some of the victims have lost as much as 10,000. If you look at it today, 10,000 has about 10 million there, and some of these people probably have sold most of their possessions, most of the possessions that they have. Back in the day, I was looking into the to find out that they don't get to know this so-called episode of the day of presumption. So let's be careful. These are challenging periods, and at the end of the day, we'll do the right things. And like
like the IAM said, which is the International Organization for Migration, about 260,000 Nigerians had approached. Then in 2020, 260,000 Nigerians that wanted to leave Nigeria and the batch. Those are the ones that are in the IAM are recording. Different things are converted. Sometimes it's 2 million, sometimes 4 million. We are not sure that to get the right data for I've seen that it's even getting more and more expensive to buy them now from Nigeria. They are the increased expense, even the exchange rates, like the African market or the foreign market, just doesn't sit well anymore. So I guess the generality that it's been about 160 in the foreign market. So
you stated that Nigerians need to be careful. Is it possible that some of the people who are getting these non-existent jobs are actually aware that these jobs don't exist and it's just a way for them to leave the country?
Possibly. The news doesn't say that, but it's possible. However, it doesn't mean that. And when you consider it, when you look at generally, 7 out of 10 times, a lot of them are not aware that this is a scam, and it's the same thing that there are different forms of scam, different things that people for victims of. And now this is the things everybody wants to Japan, so just let them get out of Nigeria. So my advice to you and make sure organizations just stay back and continue to be your hustle until you are sure that you get the right documentation that you can Japan, not that instant Japan.
Right, Oyeyemi, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to buttress what they were saying about how much resources even lost in trying to get this fake passport. A lot of people spend as much as $10,000. That's 10 million naira if we're going by today's rates. It's too much loss to bear, to lose so much in value and then go over there and be lost again and subject to inhumane situations. I think we need to lose the desperation and get creative as a whole. It's too sad to see our citizens go through this.
Yeah, that looks like a fine place for us to also stay with you and pick up a copy of the Punch newspaper. But then it would have seemed like maybe a kicker with Fela's teacher, don't teach me nonsense, would have been a good kicker for this story, but it's missing. But let's see what it looks like here. From the Punch states here, 3,963 teachers failed qualifying exams that was conducted sometime last month. Speak to us why a Fela's teacher don't teach me nonsense would be missing from this headline.
Okay, so the news story is simply saying, reporting the results from the published by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. The professional qualification examination conducted for about 15,000 teachers had at least almost 4,000 of them failing the exam. And that's a sad thing, considering that our education system is struggling for survival. Teachers are an essential resource, right? And if we have over 1/3 of them not going through the process successfully, then it raises a lot of questions about the resourcing of that sector, raises a lot of question about the quality as well of training that is being done. And even those who've run through and succeeded, the 70+%, how good are they for market is still subject to question. We know what's been going on in our education sector, and this is speaking to even public sector education. how they're resourced. We just need to overhaul at federal and state level, because as much as we want to be an economy, I mean, we know that this current administration is gunning for a significant boost in our capacity to produce and manufacture. All of that is rooted in the quotient, the education quotient of the students, the capacity of the teachers who are resourcing the education system. So it's not something to gloss by, or even, I would like to even see the Teachers Registration Council give additional data. The news story is simply just stating it, but that kind of report should be accompanied by some form of analysis, data resourcing, so that the issues are clear and there's some form of, we know what's the problem and this is what we're trying to do.
I see in the report also, what I will get to you shortly, but I see in the report, it said some of the exam results were cancelled due to malpractice teacher.
When people are failing, well, practice is, I don't even, I mean, that's a values issue, and that's a general societal issue. I mean, everyone is trying to run a shortcut, towards different ends. And so I'm not surprised at that report. I don't even think it's something to be spotlight, because it's a sad thing. You would see that everywhere. If there's an exam, there's someone who's trying to beat the books and try to, run through. It's just it's what we've become, and is what we must, change very, very shortly. We need to certainly restore values to both teachers and students.
But I really don't think it's for me, this is wrong. I think it's a good thing that this kind of things happen. Not because the teachers maybe they were not, some of them were not fully prepared. And like this, you saw in the report, those who tried to, exam malpracticing and they committed exam malpractice. I just think that the law should take the full effect. So we take them through the same way you do exam malpractice in children, Nigerians who exam malpracticing. They don't like they should go to jail. That's because that's what the law says. But basically, this is reality. Why? Because it just tells you that if you're not fully prepared and you don't prepare yourself, this kind of things can happen. People that have been teaching for the last 15, 20 years, and you just feel that, okay, I'm going to take the exams and I know what to do. But sometimes you just need to prepare. And I think the Teachers Registration Council should also create that awareness. Teachers continually upgrading and updating their skills with various, whether it's online platforms or short courses, and this will start to change the way and the narrative where we see teachers. We've always seen having a motherhood teacher going to, going for different, what's called skills upgrade their trainings, and that's what should come back into the system, not just everybody saying, okay, I'm a teacher. Yeah. And some of these things, like basic things, like how you put your skill of work together, how you write your lesson notes and prepare them. And these are things that, like Oyeyemi said, let's see the data, and then it helps us know where those things gap are, and then we can.
All right, let's go on to some of the messages we have coming through. Cisco Delgado says, if all of us leave Nigeria, who else is going to fix the issues of the nation? What do you expect when all the teachers are reluctant to learn new things using information, superhighways, or the internet? Generally, we Nigerians are very reluctant to discover new developments through learning. Uade, nothing like being fully prepared, because a teacher is supposed to be an embodiment of knowledge.
I think everybody is, and see, we all write exams, or we've written exams before. It doesn't mean that you don't know. You could get into that exam and like they're just scared. And that's the reality. So failing just gives you the opportunity to go back and prepare your mind properly. And that's it. So you're really prepared and to fail an exam. People do it.
Yinka says, I won't sympathize with those falling victim to such scams. Perhaps if more people experience it, it might discourage others. We must acknowledge that some Nigerians have exploited immigration procedures, witnessed the daily chaos at visa centers and the treatment people endure, all for the desire to japa. These incidents contribute to a lack of respect for us abroad, and we expect our green passport to be strong. Nah. All right, you're still listening to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Do stay with us. The conversation continues.
Why do you think that first class?
That's true. You have to be prepared. Having a poor night's sleep self can affect you.
First, you have to
Even those who passed, are they ready to teach?
Now, Oyeyemi, for me, I feel in some points it's because teaching has become an all-comers affair, such that you're out of secondary school or probably out of the university and nothing is in place. There's a private school just somewhere down the line, a government school down somewhere down the line. They just throw you there. So
Absolutely.
the quality of persons who are we recruit also into this the profession.
Yeah, but also for me, at the end of the day, like I said, how do you develop yourself?
Yeah. Because even if you don't have a passion for it, if that's what's earning you your daily bread, you have to get better to do it.
You leave that thing. But if it's not my passion, I just wake up and reach there. I'll be daydreaming to
But
work
you
every
should.
day.
Isn't that why they have inspectors that go around?
See, the inspectors need to be inspected.
There's a rot, like it's a completely rotten system. The inspectors themselves are not even anything. I recall engaging some of these teachers at NYSC, and I know what these are people who passed. Let's move
All
on.
right, we're going on.
We're Smooth 98.1 FM. It's still freshly pressed, and we're picking up the papers this morning. Let's get on to the next paper.
This one is The Guardian. The newly appointed board and management team for the NNPCL on Monday have pledged to produce 2 million barrels of crude oil on a daily basis from next year. Chief Pius Akinyelure is the non-executive board chairman, and he stated this while briefing correspondents shortly after the inauguration of the board by the president.
2 million by next year. Possible? Not impossible. Probable? I don't think so. Like we know there's so much infrastructure decay in the oil and gas sector, pipeline modernization, and a number of those things. It's probably to work on the security architecture and NPC, which is good. However, that investment in infrastructure to take us back to where we were in terms of Nigeria has the capacity to produce as at 10, 12 years ago, 2 million barrels, and we're getting close to it, at the initial part after return to democracy. But currently, there are too many infrastructure gaps, which needs to be fixed. That's one. Then also, even the desire by the company itself to go in that direction is something that we also have to consider. Yes, it's owned by government. Board has been putting Pius Akinyelure, the first Nigeria that was executive vice chairman in Tokyo. Long experiences there. I look at the members of the board in terms of what they do. I see they do meeting who can mitigate the issues around the Niger Delta. He's been doing that for a very long time. However, like the chairman, like the non-executive chairman has said, is one thing to say it, but the other thing is how do your actions show that you're going in that direction. So yes, is it possible? Yes, 2024, probable. I don't think so. But if we do hit that, then we know that we have that's board and the management and members of staff of NNPC itself have gotten an orientation shift that they are no longer just a government parastatal government organization. It's still owned by the federal government, but a company that should run the business and based on their number, you can show the shareholders what they're doing, because if they're planning to list whichever exchange, whether it's like the stock exchange or wherever outside Nigeria, and want investors in this place, the kind of governance structure and systems that put in place and used to drive the business is something that is critical for us to achieve that 2 million. 2 million capacity, 2 million barrels, the ability to build, not in doubt, but infrastructure to deliver it.
Oyeyemi, let's race down to the stand of the Guardian newspaper. Let's discuss food and the manner. Sometimes people say, if only maybe plantain or tomato or gari will tell you the story when they get to your table, how they got there. You might also respect them and wait, but hey, let's see what's the headline looking like. Lagos to build food hubs in Aja, Agege, Abule, Ado. This is in line to curb wastages and all that, but speak to us about how this would affect value chain.
I was very excited to see that report. It was the launch of a food hub in Mushin, a 66,400 square meter food hub. And seeing pictures of it appears to be well resourced. And the governor speaking at the launch said that the idea behind these hubs was to enable farmers get to market, to ease the process of farmers getting their products to market. And I think that that's sort of an essential for food security, especially given our population, our geopolitical arrangement, urban, regional matrix, everything. It's very important that we begin to create aggregators for, agricultural products, where even if I am a manufacturer, I know that going to that hub, I can get products straight from the farms. I can make arrangements. It just enables commerce. It's what it does is that it's a fuel for efficient commerce in the agricultural sector. And very, very excited to hear that they're also setting up these kinds of hubs in densely populated areas as well, right, across Lagos. And I hope that this is a prototype that other states take up. We know that across board, there's been a lot of re-engineering, both by private sector, public sector collaborations in the agri sector, but there needs to be a lot more done because the race to feeding what Africa actually, not just Nigeria, is a lot. So great development, and kudos to the government in Lagos.
But just before we rest that, and Uade, you come to it shortly, but I just like you to respond. This looks like more, some analysts have said, it's like dignifying the food when you see it now. It doesn't look disrespected, because if you go by that axis, but you see people, or you, for example, would you rather go to that kind of hub to get your food than go to the regular market?
Well, it's the economics that would drive that one, ease of access as well. So again, we come back to that whole, it's a food chain, right? So it's a resource that you're plugging into a system, a network. So it makes us criticize or critique the efficiency of the network in total. The roads that lead there, do they make for easy access? Would it deter anyone who's trying to come? How accessible it is? Is it to people outside the direct route of the hub, because a farmer is trying to feed the public, and the wider spread they have, the better. But I think that if everyone knows that that's accessible, a lot of production goes on within the Lagos-Ogun space. If the products that are housed there are able to resource the market and make it more efficient, I think what you would find is a redistribution of value. There would always be those who would go to that, to the regular markets, but there would be those who would need to go to the hub, right? Because it makes their production cheaper, it adds more value to their manufacturing process, or even if I had a chain of restaurants, that would probably be something that would help me, right? So I think it's good that we look at how it feeds into the entire food chain, but we should always celebrate our little wins. And this for me is a great win.
I seem to just disagree with you on that. And for me, markets are markets. Why are you building new sets of markets? There are markets in that motion area. There are markets in Nigeria. Why don't you just put the ease of doing the business and getting to those markets and making those markets to come to the standards of this hub that you want to do? It's just money that you want to, that for me, you want to put into it, and so it's a Lagos State hub. Who are the people that want to participate in that market at the end of the day? It's still the same farmers who want to move their products from the farm to market. So let's just improve on the market situations and the logistics that gets you to those markets.
All right, let's go on to Vanguard. The Chief of Defense Staff has said members of the armed forces are not immune from drug abuse or from the menace of drug abuse currently being fought by the NDLEA. And he says, as part of the recruitment processes, people will have to take drug tests, ensuring that the personnel of the armed forces are in the right frame of mind.
Good thing happening. This is something that should be the minimum standard. I don't know what the standards were quite high before. I don't know what the standards are now, but there's no military in the world that accepts drug use. So if you are just coming back now to trades, then it makes good sense. So partnering with the NDLEA also makes great sense. Why? Because if issues happen about drug abuse or drug trades and all within the military, then you know how those things can be worked out, because the military also have to deal, especially when the military deals with all the offenses that happen using the military police along. So good initiative here, and I do commend it. One of the things that the report also says that in about 3 years, the NDLEA has arrested about 42,105 drug offenders, 7,500 tons of drugs. It's destroyed 1,007 acres of cannabis. Convicted 8,350 offenders, while 29,400 trophies have been cancelled and rehabilitated within the same period. And that's what they're asking the military to also build a rehabilitation center where even those offenders or those users can be moved to, and then they can be rehabilitated.
All right, let's go on to some of the messages we have coming through. Olu from Alaka says, food hubs are good, but the government should tackle and reduce the multiple taxes and levies paid by transporters. Also, safety on the roads and in the rural areas is crucial. And this message is from Yinka. He says the Lagos State government should expand the number of such hubs, ensuring it doesn't pose a threat to markets like My 12 and Oyeyemi. In fact, it could motivate these markets to enhance their surroundings. Unlike these markets, the proposed hubs may encourage competition, pushing them to evolve beyond traditional cash transactions. If these markets don't adapt, I'll certainly support the cleaner and more modern hubs.
It will possess message when look at you and said the politicians in power realize they are not the one pushing Nigerians to take the risk of jack buying that's going out of the country because of their clueless policies. May God forgive them. They don't know what they have done to poor Nigerians.
Deji says, I do not blame those who choose to leave the country. The economic situation is unbearable for a lot of people. There's nothing we enjoy in this country. Let them give us a blueprint and timelines. Tajuddin says, at exams, Uade, that's me. I'm usually tense, but I do recover after some minutes. On 2 million barrels daily, well, he says, I'm singing a fella song. Well, that is it for Freshly Pressed this morning. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for your messages, and special thanks to our analysts this morning, Oyeyemi and Uade, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come.